Class. Welcome to week 6. This week we're going to focus on containment, social control, and conflict theories. And so make sure that you check out the notes there that I provided in our week 6 Canvas module. Make sure also that you read the sections of those chapters as well on social learning, social control, and conflict theory. And then I made what I hope to be a very interesting discussion board on the militarization of the American police. And so I gave you some links there to watch. Uh, and as well as a reading or two for you to check out. And then I gave you a discussion board prompt to make an argument for or against militarized policing. Um, so again, I have my notes on containment, social control, and conflict theories. And so make sure you check that out. I even have the key concepts of containment theory, drives and pulls toward delinquency. Um, are contained, checked, and controlled to avert delinquency. So this idea of containment is very important, as well as the self-concept, image of one's place in society and one's values in relation to others or to society in general. And so there's 4 types of pressures and containment. There's outer or social pressures and pulls. There's external containment, internal or inner containment, and then inner pushes. And so make sure that you pay attention to each one of those. And you can even give examples of each one of those, because that's what's going to be on the upcoming midterm exam that I'll talk about a little later. And so I talk a little bit about Walter Reckless, and I give an overall summary of this containment theory, and a bit of an evaluation of it as well. Then I take you to Travis Hershey, social control theories, where Hershey discusses the idea of the social bond, which refers to the connection between the individual and their society through social institutions. And so there's 4 major types of social bonds. One is attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. And so I'll put 4 notes in there. Note 1, the stronger these 4 bonds, the least likely one would be to become delinquent. Note 2, everyone has the potential to become delinquent and criminal. So there's no such thing necessarily as, there's just, people that are born with the criminal mind. Really anyone, just like being well behaved and conforming and being a good little boy and girl is a learned behavior. It's just kind of robotic and mindless too. But you just follow your scripts. You don't give much pushback. You just do what you're told, and that's what most people generally do. Very tribal and obedient, um, and so that behavior is learned. Well, just like delinquent and criminal behavior is learned as well. So everyone has the potential to become delinquent and criminal. You, me, everyone. Um, Note 3, social controls, not moral values, maintain law and order. And so this is kind of a progressive type of thinking, that it's just not that criminals or people that violate the law have no morals. They do. In fact, the morals of criminals are oftentimes way more moral than cops. Um, and so morality really has nothing to do with whose side of the law you're on. I've seen many moral criminals and highly immoral, law-abiding, obedient people. And so the note 4, without controls, one is free to commit criminal acts. And so again, it's important to look at all of these 4, attachment, commitment, involvement, belief. And attachment refers to the psychological or emotional connection one feels towards other persons or groups, and the extent one cares about their feelings and opinions. So if you're attached to, um, you know, people who are in authority, or to parents, or to teachers, or to professors, or to other law abiders, chances are you're not going to want to disappoint them, because you're so attached to them, and you're going to want to please them and live your life for them and make life decisions that make them happy, which will keep you being an obedient conformist. Um, so commitment is a result of cost-benefit approach to delinquency. This refers to the investments accumulated in conformity to conventional rules like time, energy, money, effort, status. And so, for for example, one of the reasons why um, you are less likely, or at least many of you are less likely to become drug dealers, is because you've already committed so much time to being in the university, getting yourself into potentially some debt, spending years in high school, preparing for years in the university, and so you've spent so much time, so much energy, so much money, so much effort. Um, that you are now committed to having a more quote unquote legitimate, conventional, mainstream type of job within some type of institutional hierarchy. And so as a result of your commitment that you've already given to the legitimate institutions and legitimate parts of society, you're less likely to sacrifice any of that to try to find more creative or innovative paths to upward mobility. Uh, Involvement refers to participation in conventional legitimate activities such as extracurricular activities, school plays, sports, clubs, organizations, etc. So the more that you're involved in mainstream activities of church, of club, of community organizations, the more that you're intertwined into the dominant conventional society, the less likely you are to deviate into the more informal underground economy or world of crime, deviance, and transgression. The next one is beliefs. Do you believe in the legitimate society? Do you believe in the institutions? Do you believe in the conventional value system? And do you believe in the legitimacy of these social institutions? So more that, basically, the more that you've been propagandized through education and media to believe in the legitimacy of our existing society, and you believe in the legitimacy of conventional chattel slavery, work, um, then you will be less likely to engage in crime or delinquency. The more you believe, the more you'll be, um, a conforming uh, person who follows the rules and do what they're told. And so not bad, very interesting. And so check out the notes that I have on that. I think, as you well know, the notes that I've given you, I think will help you a lot in your exams. And then I give an evaluation of social control theory. And finally, I talk about the conflict theory or conflict perspective, which, as opposed to structural functionalism that sees society as a range of these interrelated complementary parts for the smooth functioning of the overall system, conflict theory looks at our institutions as institutions of power, hierarchy, and domination. As you well know, our society consists of five major institutions: political, social, economic, cultural, and religious institutions, and they are vertically arranged as a hierarchy where the apex of power for the masters of mankind sit at the top, and the lower you go down these hierarchies of power and domination, the less power you have, and the more that people will use their power to shape your will and make you do things, even convince you to do things that you otherwise would not have wanted to do, which is, of course, the very definition of power. And so our entire society is based on hierarchy, power, and domination. And if you are a worker, whether it's a middle class worker or a working class worker or even an upper middle class worker, you are still dominated by a boss, by a ruler, by a master, by an employer. And so at one time we had society arranged as, patricians and then plebeians. You had vassals and lords. You had in other historical epochs, master and servant. And now we have the employer and then the weak employee. And so the employer gets to use their power and domination to control the activities of the weak workers. And that's how the conflict theorists views it. And so really within that context, crime is a political act. Crime and transgression is a way to overcome this form of domination that's constantly exerted upon us as we exist within these institutions of power and domination. So crime is more of a political act to push back against the masters of mankind, to push back against our rulers. Um, and of course, anytime we push back against power, this becomes criminal. So anything that goes against capitalistic accumulation, anything that goes against pursuing profit for the master, for the boss, for the employer, anything that goes against orthodoxy, anything that goes against the dominant discourse, anything that goes against the wishes of the ruling elite, um, these are the things that become criminalized and punished. Uh, and for people that don't want to work, of course, people want to work, but people don't want to have jobs. There's a difference between working and instead of having a job. It's an anthropological necessity that people work and engage in activity and to take their subjectivity and to externalize that into an objective reality. But work is a much different thing. Work is an oppressive, or rather, a job is an oppressive institution where a boss dominates you and can use various forms of subtle violence and threats against you to force you to engage in activities that you would prefer not to engage in. And so anyone who refuses this type of laboring for a boss, for a ruler, for an employer, they are economically unproductive. And so if you throw them in prison and you enslave them, yeah, you can sit there, and you enslave them, um, then you can make them profitable. So criminalizing people and putting them in prisons to enslave them. And you can enslave Americans, by the way. Look at the 13th Amendment. It is legal to enslave Americans. You can then make them economically productive. And so check out how I talk about some of the notes there with conflict theory, especially as it relates to crime and criminalization, crime, criminal law, and crime. And so I think you'll enjoy that. Other than that, next week you will have your midterm exam. You'll have a week to take that exam. The deadline is already on Canvas and it's on the syllabus. Um, but it's going to cover everything we've discussed in class so far from week 1 all the way to this week, week 6. And so crime and the sociological imagination, human agency and determinism, the problem of crime, the first chapter, inventing criminology, classicism, positivism, and beyond, um, criminological theory, anatomy to human ecology, to look at social structure, anatomy, and crime, as well as human ecology and crime. Um, then we have criminological theory, subcultural theory to labeling, so look at delinquent subcultures in a labeling perspective. Um, and then we had some stuff on special topics of crime and transgression, looking at things like broken windows and get tough on policing. That was a really cool discussion board, by the way, so y'all did a great job. And then finally, your exam will cover what we're discussing this week: containment theory, social control theory, and conflict theory. Study the notes. Make sure you read the chapters and read them twice and study the notes. Much of the exam comes from the notes, so study the notes very well, and I think that you'll be okay. Okay, then I made a very creative, I hope, discussion board for you this week that I think that you'll enjoy. I try to make them all, something that you'll actually enjoy doing. I try to make this class as interesting as possible. That's why I even do these videos, because I want some type of, at least for you to get a more of a personal kind of education in this class, and so I wanted to give the element of me, doing merely doing a weekly video, and I try to put a lot of creativity into these discussion boards that you'll enjoy, but also learn a lot, and then you can also debate each other, debate me, and we can advance new ideas to understand the social problem of crime and how to solve it. So your discussion board has to do with police militarization. So I give you some stuff from PBS, Do Not Resist, Militarized Police in Ferguson. Uh, then I give you a talk from some nutball who goes around teaching cops. Uh, and it's called Enjoy the Killing, Do Not Resist. Deleted scenes from 2015. Check that out. Then there's a police trailer on the same dude that teaches cops to kill. I have another little video on Do Not Resist. Then I have something from John Oliver for you to watch. Um, Very provocative there. And then so make sure you watch, and then an article from Truth Dig from Chris Hedges. And those are all mandatory to watch or read. They're very short, so it shouldn't take much time. And then if you want to watch it from a comedian, Jimmy Dore, he talks about policing in America. Then I'll give you a bit more of a discussion on police officers in the United States, how they've become militarized, and then I give you directions on the discussion board for a good online debate and discussion. So I very much look forward to that. Um, if anyone needs anything, just send me an email. But otherwise, I'm very encouraged with how well all of you are doing. This has been a great class, so keep up solid effort. Thank you very much, and I'll see you online on our discussion boards.